Tonight, police revisit the Mid-North in the hopes of finding those responsible for a callous murder and keeping it local, the new restaurant using only local produce.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Major crime investigators are revisiting the Mid-North in the hunt for those responsible for the murder of Tarawi man Martin Mefford. Rachel Nell has more.
Detectives have conducted a door knock across the small town of Tarawi as a part of the ongoing investigation into the murder of 32-year-old Martin Mefford, who went missing in February 2005. In October 2013, his remains were found inside a fireplace at a home in the town. His cousin was arrested and charged for failing to report a death, but this charge was later withdrawn. At the time of his disappearance, Mr. Mefford was receiving a disability pension. Between 2005 and 2013, over $130,000 was withdrawn from his bank account at various ATMs across the Mid-North. There was also an attempt to re-establish Mr. Mefford's identity at the Peterborough Post Office so that pension payments would continue to be paid into his account. Major crime officers believe those responsible for the murder of Mr. Mefford are still living in the Tarawi area and frequently visit Peterborough and Jamestown. Police will continue to contact local businesses and distribute posters around the region. Major crime investigators are confident the case will be resolved. They say they already have a number of lines of inquiry they're pursuing. A $2,000 reward is on offer for anyone with information that can assist police.
GFG Alliance is taking the first steps towards shoring up the Whyalla Steelworks energy supply by purchasing an energy company. Zen Energy has been tasked with developing a plan that'll turn the Northern Spencer Gulf into a power hub.
21 days into the ownership of the Whyalla Steelworks, Sanjeev Gupta has unveiled his first action to power up the Whyalla Steelworks. He's set to transform the energy supply for the plant by purchasing a majority stake in Zen Energy.
On energy here, but if we wanted to undertake them organically ourselves, it would take us longer. So this allows us to fast-track that.
The company will develop large-scale energy production on-site, with waste gases to play a big role. Company founder Richard Turner says there will also be investment in clean renewable sources.
It will be a combination of large-scale solar, wind, to very, very low-cost energy generators, combined with pumped hydro.
The solution for renewables to be able to do something like a steel plant or an aluminium plant will come with substantial storage.
Energy prices have hurt the plant's bottom line, and last year's blackout nearly brought the place to its knees. Mr. Gupta says this shouldn't be the case in a country where natural resources are abundant.
We need to have a balance. We can't just keep exporting all our raw material to the world and messing up things at home.
The local MPs have welcomed the announcement, saying the plans will turn us into an energy powerhouse.
That will have cheap, reliable and very clean electricity.
These projects that they'll actually be able to supply some electricity back in the grid, and I think that's its intention.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Plans to revitalise Port Lincoln's leisure centre have officially been approved. The $4.4 million upgrade will include basketball and squash courts, as well as a new parking area.
A first look at the new multi-million-dollar Leisure Centre Stadium in Port Lincoln. Council now approving revised concept designs of the state-of-the-art sporting complex.
To have a regional centre that's got a first-class wet area, that's a pool and a gymnasium and a sports stadium is really important, and for us to grow we need those sorts of facilities.
It's the last piece of the Leisure Centre upgrade puzzle after the Aquatic Centre opened earlier this year. The expansion will include a show court with tiered seating, as well as squash courts, updated facilities and a brand new car park.
Lifestyle issues are really important. Health is really important.
The council utilised Commonwealth grants to complete the project, but were forced to trim the stadium to avoid a budget blowout. The mayor's adamant though, sport will be a focus for the complex.
Basketball particularly has got enormous growth and a lot of players.
The courts have been in the pipeline for years, but now players will need to wait just one more season before taking centre court.
Very pleased to see that we're going to have a state-of-the-art facility that not only the Port Lincoln community but the regional community can enjoy.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Several Solar Reserve representatives have visited Port Augusta today to discuss the solar thermal power station with the community. The Aurora Solar Energy Project, to be built 30 kilometres north of the city, has attracted a lot of local interest. Amelia Simpson has more.
A project many believe is starting to bring confidence back into the city has started to get off its feet right here in Port Augusta. Solar Reserve representatives today visited Wharflands Plaza to speak with the community and to talk about the Aurora Solar Thermal Power Station. Company representatives say both the 240-metre high solar thermal receiver paired with the Sundrop Farms tower will act as a warm welcome to the town. The company says while the interview process for some positions has begun today, they'll continue to hire throughout the development and construction phases. Solar Reserve expects to soon engage with contractors to begin construction of the tracking mirrors on site. The power plant is expected to have 12,000 of these mirrors with a diameter of 3 kilometres around the receiver. The company says they expect to open an office in Port Augusta by the end of the year. Solar Reserve representatives told Southern Cross News they lodged their development application with the state government yesterday. They say they're expecting to hear back within weeks and the Port Augusta community can expect to see more of the company in weeks to come.
Still to come in tonight's local news, a new chef in Port Lincoln gives the local produce his tick of approval. Welcome back. The number of people enrolled in the National Disability Insurance Scheme is expected to nearly triple over the next 2 years. It came as an information session was held into the scheme in Port Pirie today. Our Rachel Nell was there.
Supporting those who need it most, and it seems even more will now be getting the help they need. The number of people in the York and Mid-North area accessing the National Disability Insurance Scheme is set to soar in the next few years.
There's going to be an additional 1,250 people accessing the scheme and accessing support.
The Port Pirie Council area is estimated to have the largest amount of new applicants.
Less than 500 people will be accessing the insurance scheme, whereas today it's a little bit less than 200. So it's a significant increase in the Port Pirie Council area.
With that dramatic increase comes investment into local providers.
It's essentially goes back into the community, and so that $80 million is going to be spent with the service providers in the community.
It might be access to equipment that they need, it might be access to services or connections with the community.
It's expected hundreds of jobs will be created in the York and Mid-North area.
That means that we'll need to really increase the workforce so that there's enough services available for those people who need it. The rollout for this region is only up to the age of 17 at the moment. The full rollout to adults will start on the 1st of January 2018.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Whyala's Pink Spirit Support Group has developed a vast wig library in order to support those who are experiencing hair loss during cancer treatment. Operators say it brings peace of mind to clients who may be experiencing one of the toughest periods of their lives.
There's no doubt receiving a cancer diagnosis can be devastating. One of many challenges faced by sufferers is a potential loss of hair, a side effect of chemotherapy. But now residents in Whyalla and the surrounding region have a service to help make the experience a little easier, a wig library.
You give me a ring, I make an appointment, and one of our girls that is trained with me, along with 9 of us, altogether from the Pink Spirits, one of those will come with me.
More than 150 wigs are available for both men and women. A private room at the Whyalla Hospital is available for clients, so they can find the right fit. For just $25, they can borrow a wig, along with a number of accessories.
Basically cover the bag, the wig hat, the cap that you wear under the wig, the brush, the special brush and the wig stand and the shampoo and conditioner.
Operators say it brings economic relief to clients at a tough time, with the wigs costing anywhere up to $700.
And it's really private and lovely. And the girls spend, probably a couple of hours up here without any troubles at all. It's really good.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
It's hoped changes to South Australia's freight network will boost productivity in the region. From tomorrow, triple road trains up to 53.5 metres long will be able to travel on more regional roads. They include the Outback Highway, the Flinders Ranges Way and the RM Williams Way. The state government says the changes will cut supply chain costs and bring economic benefits to primary producers. A fresh face in Port Lincoln's restaurant industry has praised the local produce as some of the finest in the country. Josh Harris is heading up a new $3 million venture that'll be opened at Peter Teakle Wines, where only locally sourced ingredients will be served.
Port Lincoln might have the rep of Australia's seafood frontier, but it could soon boast one of the best culinary experiences too.
Develop this region as one of the dining destinations, not just in the state but in the country as well.
Josh Harris is the latest executive master to call the city home. He's been handpicked by celebrity chef Pete Evans to create a new dining experience at Peter Teakle Wines, and his first item on the menu is the region.
If it's not from the Eyre Peninsula, we won't use it. There's so much amazing produce here available on our doorstep. It'd be a shame to not use more of it.
Boston-based Small Goods is one company Josh has selected to showcase quality meat, believing there's more to the Eyre Peninsula than what's in the sea.
There's definitely a lot of other products here that are just only coming to light now. So we've got some fantastic beef, lamb, pork.
That pork has the new chef excited.
Award-winning pork that is up there with some of the best in the country. I've had a privilege to taste a fair bit of it already, and I can't wait to get it on the plate.
The restaurant will be plating up local vegetables and fruit too, giving tourists a taste of the Eyre Peninsula.
It's fantastic for a local restaurant to really start to pick up and promote local product.
The restaurant is expected to be open in December. Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
When we return after the break, one lucky Port Lincoln footy fan scores the prize of a lifetime. Details next. Welcome back. Well, one lucky footy fans received the prize of their life today, winning 2 AFL Grand Final tickets for next Saturday's match. Renee Hissey has never travelled to Melbourne, but will be now thanks to a Grand Final package hosted by Port Lincoln McDonald's. She's hoping to see Richmond in the finals clash at the MCG.
Taking my good friend Albie, he gets to come over with me, so he's never seen an AFL game, so he's pretty excited to see it as well.
Towns across the Upper Spencer Gulf have made a bid to bring government departments to the region. The Spencer Gulf Cities Association has made a submission into an inquiry into whether relocating departments from capital cities is a viable way to grow the area.
Decentralisation is the subject of a parliamentary inquiry already underway, and it's a bid Whyalla, Port Augusta and Port Pirie have made to bring government departments from Adelaide and Canberra right to the grassroots.
We've made a very proactive submission, we've made it a factually based submission, and there's some really good statistics in there as well. And there is a really good opportunity and a really strong argument for South Australia to be actually at the forefront to take some of this, because we are still the only state in the nation that has never actually embraced or been the recipient of decentralisation.
Mayor Sam Johnson says while other states boast regional centres with populations over 100,000, Regional SA's biggest cities haven't cracked 30,000. He believes relocating government departments from capital cities could be the answer.
Be strategic around the actual departments we want to decentralise and put out into the regions, and that actually align to the region they're going to. You can actually really start to get some good policy decision making at the end of it, because the people drafting the policy and then ultimately the decision makers are actually amongst the area where the decisions are going to be impacted on.
Whyalla would benefit from an industry department, while there's a push for Port Augusta to have a larger office for Indigenous affairs.
They have this strange situation where they have an office in Port Augusta and some resources here, but they have an even bigger office and even more resources sitting on Weymouth Street in Adelaide, which are paying double rent. So we think, why not get those sort of departments that ultimately are in our area anyway.
The Parliamentary Committee says it hopes to find examples of decentralisation success ahead of the release of an interim report at the end of the year. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
Time to see what's biting around the Gulf now. Here's Fish and Tips.
Welcome to another week around the Gulf Fishing Tips. We're just about to be a little bit cheeky and say Paddo's tip this week for King George whiting is Eastern Shoal. So have a crack by the North Stick, work your way around and you'll find yourself a good feed of fish. As you're coming home, don't forget the creeks. There's some snapper being caught around there at the moment in pan size from 3rd to 5th creek right throughout. And also you'll find there's plenty of salmon as well on the runoff tide.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fish and Tips from Port Augusta, Jurilla North. Well, this time of year is a real fisherman's basket. There's salmon everywhere, basically like piranhas jumping on the baits net. Along the shacks I've been getting some really big ones over in Port Patterson and also from the wharf behind me as well, right down to Chinaman's Creek. There is some King George whiting, but they're a little bit harder to find. Plenty of crabs around at the moment. There are some kingfish down at the powerhouse, but also right at the top of the Gulf up around the train bridge as well.
This week there's been some good whiting around down towards Mount Young and a few of the local drops out the front. We're getting a nice late run of squid also coming in around the Mount Young grounds, and they've been some really good size as well, so get amongst those. There's also been a few snapper coming in from the Rip area and a few of the local drops out the front, and if you know the drops over towards Port Pirie, there's been some fish over there in the channel as well. For the land-based anglers, there's been some really good salmon coming in around the Point Lowly Rocky Points. And from the Whyalla Marina rock walls, there's been some good squid late in the afternoon, just towards sunset, so get amongst those. Also from the foreshore, a few silver whiting starting to show up.
G'day, welcome to this week's Fishing Tips from Port Lincoln. Starting up the Gulf around Arno Bay and Port Neal, there's been some snappers starting to show up, but there's been some good whiting catches up there too. Moving back down here to Port Lincoln, there's been some good catches of squid around and the size is really improving now. There's also been a few whiting around. Places are starting to fire up like Boston Island and also the North Shore. Down the south coast, there's been some great catches of salmon. Out at Coffin Bay, there's been some good catches of whiting out at Farm Beach. Further up from Coffin Bay, there's been some good catches of salmon off the west coast beaches, as well as a few sharks out there at night, and even late afternoons the guys will be getting to a few. That's it for this week. We'll see you next week.
Nicole joins us now, and the warm weather is continuing for now, Nicole.
Yes, Fraser, showers are staying away for now. I'll have more after the break. Welcome back to the weather now. Looking a bit like a summer's day across the region. Hitting 30 degrees in Port Augusta, only a touch cooler in Broken Hill for 29, 25 at the top in Whyalla and Port Pirie, and a cooler one in Adelaide for 20 degrees. To the satellite now, a bit of cloud over the south of the state is bringing the odd shower. On the Gulf waters, north-northeasterly winds of up to 15 to 20 knots, seas around 1 metre, sunrise just after 10 past 6, sunset just before 6:15. Another warm one on the way tomorrow, 34 in Port Augusta and Woodena, chasing a top of 32 in Broken Hill and Whyalla, Cleve hitting 30 degrees and a bit cooler in Clare and Kadina for 27. Looking ahead now, plenty of sunshine on the way in Port Lincoln, but cooling off over the weekend. The odd shower about Saturday in Cleve and similar conditions in Woodena for 24 degrees. Still pretty warm over the next couple of days in Whyalla, hitting 26 to start the weekend. Clear skies for 29 in Port Augusta on Saturday. A bit of a change up in Kadina though, with showers on the way for 17 Sunday. And a fine outlook in Port Pirie, cooling off by Sunday for 20 degrees. A nice weekend to stay indoors in Clare for 22 Saturday with showers. And those temperatures hanging around in the 30s for the next few days in Broken Hill. So Fraser, looking like we're in for a pretty good weekend in most places.
Good to hear. Thanks, Nicole. And that's all from the newsroom for now. Thanks for joining us. I'll have updates later. Until then, though, have a lovely evening. Good night.